Yeah. So, and I'm going to record this, Devin, so that I can share this with other people as well. So,
Okay.
um, so anyway, so we'll go ahead and get started with the pilot program. So this is something that I first learned in February of 22. I actually originally got it or heard it from Frank Delgado, and I just kind of took it and ran with it. And it's been something really good for me over the last year, since that all came to be. And essentially what I noticed was happening at the booth or in at a realtor event or at a networking event or on an appointment, all these different settings, that the people that I was talking to, if they were the decision maker, um, they would get caught up on different reasons why they couldn't get the gifts that day. And they'd be like, I'm sold on this. Like, this is a great idea. I don't have my list, or I don't know exactly who I'd give them to, or I don't know the exact budget, or I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, or these different reasons. Right. And even if they aren't the final decision maker, but they have some kind of decision making power, or if they are the decision maker and they just like to consult with their partners or with their marketing person or whatever, like there's all these different reasons why they could come up with the reason they wouldn't buy that day. And the pilot program seems to be a very efficient way, and it gives us a tool to close more orders, right, to get them started on the program. And it's the same concept as when you're a new rep and you're trying to sell them a homemaker set, and they won't get the homemaker, but you don't want to leave with a no sale. You want them to get something. Why? Well, because if they get a trimmer, at least, for example, they're going to use it, love it, and they're going to buy more Cutco later. But if they don't buy it right then, who's to say that they'll ever buy it? So that's kind of the idea behind it, but in the business gift realm of things. So
Okay.
I'm having a conversation with someone. We've just had this great interaction. They're super interested in gifts. And, the next step is I'm trying to close, right? Maybe they're looking at, 100 gifts, potentially giving out 100 gifts, or maybe they need, maybe it's a realtor, and they're doing, 3 to 4 closings a month. And they're looking at getting some gifts, whatever that scenario is. You've got to figure out how to pivot and make this pilot program make sense for them. So the number that I typically stick to is 10 for minimum. If it's a realtor, I would do 6, just to get them comfortable with the program. And for realtors, it makes a lot of sense because they're service-based. We do the 6 pay, all that type of thing. So 6 to start is 1 a month. So that's an easy pitch. But for business owners that are not realtors, it would make sense to start at 10, because it's an easy round number. It's essentially a handful to get started. And the way the pilot program is explained is this, right? And you can do it at any point during the pitch. You can start off with it if you want. You can wait until you feel the objection coming, like based on body language. Are they about to hit me with the objection? Or after the objection is said, then you can handle it this way. So it's all up to you. So it's not super specific on when you have to do it. It's just a good tool to have. So if I feel this coming on with this business owner, I might, and let's say scenario, we're talking about they want 40 gifts potentially, and they're not going to give them out for a while. Like it's March right now. Let's say they're not going to give them out until November, December. And that's kind of like the scenario that we're in right now. So that's where we're at. They're looking at Santoku's, that whole thing, right? So that's the scenario. So I'm going to go, hey, by the way, I just so you know, like most of our clients, when they start out with us, they don't get their entire gift order up front, right? Because sometimes it can be a lot, to do to start out with. So we've actually got this thing called the pilot program. Do you mind if I tell you about the pilot program real quick? Okay, great. So, what we have found is a lot of people, when they're at the booth or we're on the appointment and we're not in your office, you don't have like the people around you or your information around you to know exactly who you're giving them to and how many to give them to. But everybody really wants to get started on our program. Like they want to use Cutco's gifts because it just makes sense, doesn't it? Right. And so what we came up with is the pilot program. It's non-committal. All we do is start with a handful of gifts to start out with. So for example, like, you're looking at giving out 40, but maybe that number is a little bit higher, maybe it's a little lower, like you don't really know. So my question to you would be, what is the number that you'd be super comfortable with, like that no matter what you're going to give out? If we're starting, if we're looking at 40 total, like would 25 be that number? Would it be, would it be 20? Like where would your head be? Where would your number be for something like that? Pause, let them say a number. If they say something like 15 or 20, great, sell them on that. If they go super low and go, well, I mean, probably like 4 or 5, then say, hey, by the way, our minimum order is 10. That's typically what our pilot program minimum is. And then kind of go from there and repitch it, because we won't bump them up to 10 gifts. And ultimately, if you need to go down to 3 or 4, like obviously you can do that, but you try to, like they're bowling and there's bumpers, put up the bumpers, right? Like let's bounce them back up, because it gives you more room for drop down later if you have to. Make it a special experience if they get to do less than 10 to start out, and make it something where it's like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. We typically don't, but we'll make that happen so that you can get started on our program today. But let's say that we're starting with 10. Hey, by the way, like I think 10 is a great number. No matter what, you're going to give out at least 10. So you don't have, like, you can walk away today knowing, hey, like I didn't order too much, and 10 is going to be a great number for me to give out. And then what that does for us is it gets you on our system, gets you on the program. You're not locked into reordering 10 like on a subscription or anything. And if you, for whatever reason, want to change up some gifts down the road, like we can always do that. But this at least gets you started on the program. You can kind of test it out for your business, give it out to a few people. You'll get some feedback. And then we'll follow up with you and we'll do a reorder, down the road. So my question is, if we were to start out with 10, I know we're looking at this chopper, here's how much it would be, and kind of go into closing that real quick. Handling that objection is the big part. Now they could continue to hit you with some objections, like over and over and over again. Oh, we don't really typically spend that much money on knives or on gifts. We don't typically, give these people gifts or whatever. But the whole point is, hey, it's a low commitment. It's our pilot program. You're allowed to change your mind, like on the next order, if you want, if this was too much or too little, as far as like the price point was, we can change it up, right? The most important thing is that we get you started on the program, and it takes like 2 minutes to get you started. By the way, I don't even need the logo right now if you don't have that. And the reason you want to say something like that is that, oh, I don't have my stuff on me, that whole thing, that's going to come up. And so if it does, let them know, hey, I don't even need the logo right now. Like I'll email you and I'll get the logo from you later. All we need today at the event or on the appointment or whatever the case may be is to start the order. And all I need for that is the initial payment. By the way, just so you know, you don't even have to pay in full today, because on our pilot program, what we let you do is we let you spread it out. And because you're a business owner, we don't charge you interest or anything. It's the same as cash. So if we were to do this many Santokus, if we were to do 10 to start out, normally it'd be 1,800, but today you're only looking at about $300 to start. So, $300 to get started on a program that's really going to grow your business and get you some referrals and help some retention with your employees. And, it's 100% tax deductible. Would that make sense for you to start today on our pilot program? By the way, I'll be your guy, so you don't have to worry about, tracking the company down later. Like I'll stay in touch with you, and I'll call you right after you get your gifts to make sure everything's all good. And then also I'll touch base with you. I'll do a business review with all my clients. So as soon as you've given out a few gifts, we'll get a call scheduled, and I can kind of coach you through and on what that's looked like so far. I can get some feedback from you, and I can also give you some tips on what that's going to look like moving forward, and if we need to pivot. And it'll take us a few orders to get your order right. If it's a service-based company where they're giving out, like they have a lot of client turnover, then you're going to work on them on getting their order right, if you will. Then we can kind of figure out what works best for them. Hey, by the way, too, like there's a tiered program. So I know we're looking at 10 Santokus, but if you don't mind me asking, like, who would you be giving them to? Like, have a general idea, and then see what they say. And if you're working with like a contractor or somebody, or really any business, and they've got like people that are really, really valuable to their business, and then people who are valuable, but they're not like the top tier, then maybe you say something like, hey, by the way, like, I work with a lot of businesses, and what we do is we typically do a tiered program. And it allows you to get like, everybody gets a gift, because you never know where your referrals will come from. You never know where your repeat clients will come from, that whole thing. But on the same note, there are people who are a little bit more valuable to your business than others, and you really want to hold on to those people, really show them some love and appreciation. So what a lot of people do is they can't justify giving a big gift out to everybody, but we'll do a small gift, like the one chopping knife, to everybody. And then on the bigger clients, or the longer term employees, or whatever that scenario is, what we'll do is we can give them a 2-piece set. It's still got the chopper in there, but we add a second knife to the box. That way they're getting a little bit nicer of a gift. Does that make sense? Like, would you be open to that? See what they say. If not, stick with the Santokus or whatever you talked about. If they're open to it, well, now you just added, potentially another 500-600 CPO to the order, and you've got them used to the idea of doing tiers. And that's really powerful, because that a lot of people can justify spending more on certain people. Like even me, like as an event coordinator, in our business, there are things that I do for key events that I don't do for the rest of the team. Why? Because the key events people really move the needle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So business owners can justify that too, because they're bringing in more revenue, more business, the relationships are stronger, that whole thing. So that's kind of the point of that. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think I want to like just go through some of the objections that you see and how you handle them, with both this and just in general.
Okay. So some specific objections with, you're talking business owner related specifically.
Right.
Like we don't
like
give
that. Right, like that, or that like if they're not or if they are a part of the decision, but they also have partners they need to talk to, like if there's ways to get around that. What else? If they're just like super turned off to buying now and want to buy closer to when they're going to be giving them out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's do one at a time, so I can so I'm not all over the place. So the first one would be, hey, we don't give gifts. Then that's a simple ask. Hey, what do you guys do? You ask them that, whatever they do. Do you guys give gifts in your business? No, we don't. Why not? Or have you ever thought about giving gifts in your business? And if they say, well, no, okay. A lot of them say, well, we've thought about it, but XYZ, and that's the real objection. Handle the objection, right?
Okay.
And it's all industry specific, so it depends on what they're doing exactly to how the objections are going to go and how you're going to pivot. But if it's like, you said you had this home builder who, they're like, well, I just don't give gifts because I have to pay a lot of money to my subcontractors. It's like, Okay, cool. By the way, that's a huge smokescreen objection. Like that has nothing to do with why they would or wouldn't give out gifts.
Okay.
Gifting is not in line with how much you pay your subcontractors. The gifts, you can give your subcontractors gifts, but maybe that's the reason they wouldn't give their subcontractors gifts, because he pays them a lot of money. But what's an extra $100 to him, what once a year, to give him a gift for the people that he really likes working with? Because a subcontractor, like I said yesterday, makes the builder's life so much better because they can trust them to show up on time. They can trust them to do the job the right way. They don't have to go behind them and clean up, or go behind them and repair or fix things. That's expensive to do that kind of stuff. That really adds up. And so a lot of builders will give their subcontractors some type of appreciation gift, just to love on them and build that relationship, because subcontractors aren't, like, they're not employees. They can work for whoever they want to work for, and so they can float around if they need to, and often they do. But also on the other side, the client is the one who mainly would be getting the gifts in that scenario. Like, you're building a home, if it's a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home or even more, why would you not invest an extra $200 into a gift, or even more? Like, some builders give out $1,000 knife set, but why would you not at least, spend $100, $200 on a gift just to put the cherry on top of the beautiful project you just did for this person? Like, that could be a referral down the road, which probably will be referrals down the road, because everybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this house is beautiful, who did it? And they're probably going to know at first who did it, but even if they don't, or if they don't, they're going to go to their favorite knife and be like, oh my gosh, like, it was, this company, Hairstyle Homes, or whatever, Signature Homes, whatever the home is, right? And they're never going to forget. Way down the road, they're never going to forget. So if their friends are talking about, they want to build a home later, oh my gosh, you should use my builder. Like, that's the type of thing that really drives home giving gifts. And as I'm talking to you about this, like examples, you should be sharing this with your prospects and clients. Like, hey, like, this is a scenario that could play out for you if you give these gifts. Share it with them. A $200 gift that creates one referral, even if it's only one referral. Or if you give out 100 $200 gifts and you get one referral from it, guess what? It paid for it, and then some. You're getting way more from it, So I think that's so powerful to do as a builder or as a business owner. You want to make sure that people remember you long after the job is done. Like, one of the main things that I tell my clients and prospects is, you can't be at every football game, football party, Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday, Easter, whatever. You can't be at all the birthday parties and gatherings, but Cutco can, right? And at all those gatherings, they're using knives because they're eating, and you can be a topic of conversation if you do this gifting program. This is how it works. I think that's just super powerful. What was the next objection?
Hold on. I'm writing. Wedding showers, baby showers. I like that one. Like all the stuff that you can't be at, but Cutco can. Like, if they are a part of the, like, say it's like somebody and his brother, or like somebody and his dad, and like they decide together. Yeah.
Decision makers.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're not going to close those, just to be honest. But what you can do is build that relationship while you're there in front of them, get their information, and sell them the program, and basically make them be the salesperson for you. You want to also get the decision makers information, which they're usually open to giving you. Most of the time they are. You get that, and then you'll send a follow-up email. It's like next day or within 2 or 3 days of that conversation, so it's fresh on their mind. And get that ball rolling.
Okay. What about if, like, like you said, it's March and like maybe they're only giving 10 to 20 gifts, and like they don't want to have them sitting around. They want to get them closer to time.
Most of the time it's not because the reason is not because they don't want them sitting around.
Okay.
If it's only 10 to 20 gifts, like that's nothing. They'll stack it in a small stack in a closet somewhere,
Okay.
I don't think that's an objection. I think the more powerful objection, or not more common objection, I would say, that I get if they're giving it out around the holidays, is that we just don't want to spend the money right now. But what's important to know, Devin, is most companies work on an annual budget. Right. And so the easy way to handle that is, hey, by the way, I totally get that. I work with a ton of companies that give out gifts only around the holidays. Can I make a suggestion to you real quick, if you don't mind, like based on what I've seen? I would not give them out at Christmas unless you got like a company Christmas party that's different. I would try to send them out a little earlier, like right before Thanksgiving, so they can use them, be thinking about you. So that's one reason. The other reason is because how many gifts do you get around Christmas? A lot, right? How many gifts do you get around Thanksgiving? 0. So do you want to give your gift in the middle of all the noise of the other gifts? Or do you want to give your gift before they receive a gift? That way it has the most impact that it can have. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. So that would be powerful. That all of a sudden you push your deadline back. They need it earlier than Christmas. Also, by the way,
still like October.
Hang on.
Okay.
Also, by the way, Mr. Jones, most business owners are super busy around the holidays, even like on the last quarter of the year, because they're wrapping up everything. They're trying to get everything knocked out. And so what I've found is most of my clients who do like to give out gifts around the holidays is we actually place their order in July. Do you have any idea why they would do that? There's a couple reasons. The main reason is to check it off the list, right? There's no fun in waiting till the last minute to do something that you already know you're going to do. And if I could help you get it checked off the list, you don't have to worry about it, and it's ready, set, let's roll by the time it's time to give it out. Would that be something of value to you? Would it make sense to knock it out a little bit earlier just to be done with it? Right. So that's one reason. The second reason is you're a business owner. So that qualifies you, and as far as Cutco is concerned, for a 6-month plan, and it doesn't cost you any extra. It's the same as cash. So the way it works is, and the main reason is for cash flow, right? So you're not spending all this money up front unless you just want to. But in July, usually June, July, we'll go ahead and place the order, the holiday order. I'll go ahead and get all the proof done. We'll send a proof to you so you can approve it. We'll get it engraved. We'll get it sent out to you. Okay. So you'll have it. It does take 4 to 6 weeks typically to get gifts out. So there's a lead time. So we get that done. You've got the gifts. But what we do is we actually do the billing over 6 months, and it's just automatic charge on your card. That way it's spread out. So right now you can check it off the list, but you don't have to spend all the money right now. We spread it out over the course of the year, and it'll be paid off by November, December. Does that make sense? So with that being said, I know right now it's March, but we're just a few months away from June, July when most people do it. If you're going to spend the money anyways, would you be open to go ahead and knocking it out if I gave you like an extra special incentive for doing it today versus waiting? Since we're in front of each other, it'd be easier to check it off the list. See what they say. If they're open to it, cool. Give them a free piece of Cutco for their home so they can use it. Or give them an extra gift to give out. Or if they're not, then don't burn that relationship. It's not like you're trying to close a homemaker on the spot and they're like probably not going to get it if you don't do it right then. Right? With business gifts, there's a long game. And you want to reward people if they buy it on the spot, but you don't want to shun people and make them feel bad if they don't buy on the spot. Most of the big orders and most of your orders will not happen on the spot. They just won't. And you have to be okay with that.
Okay.
You have to build that relationship and then ask the appropriate questions after that. Hey, would you guys, or when would you guys want to order? Do you like the idea of ordering it earlier rather than later to get it checked off the list and spread the payments out? Okay, cool. Let's set a meeting for July or June or whenever you're wanting to set that meeting ideally. And get that in the calendar roughly. You get like a week. Hey, what week in July would probably work? And we can get an actual date set in stone. I'll follow up with you and we'll get a date and time scheduled. Okay. So there's that. Also, in the meantime, go ahead and ask them, hey, what can I do in the meantime to help you guys with the decision process? See what they say. And if they're only looking at a handful of gifts, I wouldn't do this. But if they're looking at getting, maybe, for me, if they're looking at getting like 4 or 5K or more, I would consider sending them a sample. If it's anything less than that, I probably wouldn't, but that's up to you. That's your discretion.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
What are some other common objections that you hear?
Those are the main ones. Something else maybe, I got this a lot in February. Something else maybe, we don't really give out knives. Like I just can't get my head wrapped around giving out knives. So then you explain or re-explain to them, because in the initial pitch you explain this too, but re-explain to them, hey, by the way, guys, like the bathroom, all the bathroom companies always say this. Well, it's like, we do bathroom remodels. I don't know if I'd give out knives for a bathroom remodel. Okay, cool. What would you give out? And ask them point blank. We'll give out a gift basket, or we'll give out a towel with like their last name or monogrammed or whatever. And I'd say something like, hey, like, those things are great. They're better than nothing. But can I tell you what I've found as a gifting professional? Just like over the years, can I just tell you what I've found and figured out? Okay, so what's the most popular home or room in the home? The most used room in the home? The bathroom. Right? What's the second most popular room in the home? The kitchen. Where do people gather? The kitchen. Right? Where do people socialize the most? The kitchen. Right? What we've found is most people don't ever invest in really good stuff for their kitchen as far as like cutlery goes. They just don't take the time to do it. Right? So when they get a really good knife, like a Cutco knife in their kitchen, it becomes the number one knife they use. They go to it all the time. And every time they use it, if your information is there, your logo, guess what? You're getting 200 to 300 impressions per year on that client. Now they've already used you, so they love you if you did a good job, right? Now it's just reminding them all the time that, man, like they gave me the best knife in my kitchen too. This is an amazing gift. So a towel is cool, but are they going to use it all the time and think about you? Sometimes it gets lost in the mix and it's just another towel, even if it is a nice towel, right? Gift baskets, gift cards. Those things are awesome. They're way better than giving nothing, but they're also consumable. So they're gone. They're a one and done type thing. Whereas when you give a Cutco knife, like I said, they're going to use it 200 to 300 times a year, year after year after year after year. So if you're going to spend money, would it make sense for you to spend money and it go way further, like as far as possible? Our clients that give out gift baskets or things like that like they used to, they recognize, hey, I'm going to spend $50 or $100 in this gift basket, but then it's gone and that's it. But when they buy Cutco, that $100 that they spent goes on and on and on and on and on, and it continues to work for you. And the client absolutely loves it. Does that make sense? Awesome. What else?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I haven't run into that one a ton yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. Um, but no, that's good. I think I think next for me is just like I need to get more, I guess, like more familiar with like each industry's like nuances of what they do. Like, like if I was confident in what I knew about like how contractors and subcontractors worked, maybe I could have, spoke better about that, or um, like the just different ways in which the business owners work with whoever they're giving gifts to, so I know um like the best way to angle what I'm talking about to them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're going to be working anything or with a certain type of people, you have to know. You have to know their lingo,
Hmm.
how they talk. I remember being a new rep, and even though I wouldn't spend money on knives like that as an 18, 19-year-old, the people I was talking to would. So I had to talk to them as if I understood them, right? And you
Hmm.
get that way through repetition and practice. My first industry event I ever worked, I didn't study anything. And I went and worked it, and it was a casino trade show. I didn't know squat, and I couldn't intelligently speak with them and handle objections, and I think they knew that. And I didn't sell as much as I probably could have. And then I've also, the next time I went to another industry event, I studied my butt off because I was like, you know what, that's not going to happen again. And when I got to
What?
it, I'd done a lot of research, just Googling. Like one of the big things with giving business gifts is where, like, you figure out like where does the money go? Where's the flow of money? Right? What makes the jobs easier for that business owner? Like who are the people who also make the job easier? So there's typically two sides to everything, and potentially a third, which is referrals. So you've always got clients, you got employees, and then you've also got referral partners. Those are the three main ones. And there could also be other people like I'm working with Regions Bank right now on one of their boards, um, getting their bank, their like board of directors, getting them some engraved Cutco gifts just because they work for the year. Or you've got other people who just may want to give it to their business partners. Like there's a bunch of different contributors to different types of businesses that you could give them to. So you have to figure out where's the money flowing, who would receive gifts, and who would be giving gifts. Those are like the three main things. And you've also got to understand that there's some industries who are taught to give gifts or who have enough margin to give gifts. And then there are some industries or some companies that just aren't, like they're super tight margins. And you have to understand something like that. But like a restaurant, right? Or like a mom and pop, like they might give gifts, but they might not. And a lot of them do to their employees, but maybe they don't to their clients, unless it's a top client. Like I'm working with Ace Hardware right now, and some of their top commercial clients who do a lot of business with them, they're like, yeah, we're probably going to give them a pocket knife this year, just to show them that appreciation, not because they have to, because they want to. And as a small business, they're like, we really need to hang on to our top people, because if these people go to Lowe's or Home Depot, we're screwed. you know
Hmm.
I've also had like some like builders, like I just said a second ago, they need to love on their subs if they can, because subs are a dime a dozen, but good ones are not. And if you find a good one, you got to keep them. You want to keep them in your network and love on and appreciate them so that they continue to do good work for you and choose to work with you. If you got
So would that person just spend like, a gift set on one sub, or would they do something more, or what makes sense?
Yeah, so a builder, I mean, they're typically an easier sell for them is going to be given like a lock back, or like maybe a hunting or fishing knife, because the subs are typically going to be male dominated and good old boys. Essentially, I know in Alabama they are like they all like
Hmm.
to fish, like to be outdoors, hence why they are doing subcontracting. Um, but in other areas of the country that may be different. They could also do a build a set program for them if they want, where they give them every year they give them another knife or something like that.
Hmm.
But you've got to
Okay.
understand sometimes there are people that someone would give a gift to once a year, and sometimes or sorry, let me rephrase that. There's companies that would just give a gift out once a year, and there's other companies that would give gifts out over and over and over again, like almost a monthly type thing. And typically the ones that are monthly or like a lot over the course of the year are going to be a service based company. So think about flooring, tile, subcon or remodelers like kitchen and bathroom modelers, decks, patios, a window company would do that. Like anytime that they would complete a job, if a company has a job or project they would complete at the end of the project, a lot of them would give out a gift. But like a heating and air company, I've sold to a few of those. With them, the sweet spot where they start giving out gifts is at $8,000 or more, because they've got enough margin on that to fit $100 gift in there. But if it's under 8,000, typically they don't have enough margin to give it out. Right? Like if it's a $1,400 service job, there's not enough wiggle room in there to throw in a gift. Right? So maybe they would
Hmm.
do 8,000 plus. And if they've got commercial clients do a lot of business with like heating and air, because something may go out that they may need another unit added. They may need some service pretty frequently, and they may even have a contract with them. Give them a gift, and maybe a little bit nicer gifts. They don't just go to the next heating and air company when the contract expires. An attorney, if it's like a closing attorney, maybe they would give gifts out to their favorite lenders who don't cause them a headache, and give gifts out to the realtors that bring them business the most. Like there's so many things. So what I would challenge you to do, and anybody that ends up watching this recording, is think about the people that you're wanting to give gifts to, or anytime you run into someone who is a business owner of some sort, ask yourself, who would they give gifts to? Where would it make sense for them to give gifts? And why would they give gifts? The main reason for giving gifts, number one, is appreciation. Number two is going to be for referrals. Number three is retention. Number four is reviews. And a lot of these service-based companies want reviews, and Cutco can actually we can put a QR code on a knife and it will scan. So sometimes they'll put their logo, but they'll also put a QR code next to it. And a lot of these companies, they'll go a week or two after the project's over just to do a final check and make sure everything's good to go, but also to get a review. They want to solicit a review from the company, because when you Google, whoever's got the best reviews usually gets the job, gets the most eyeballs. And so who's ever got the most and best reviews typically gets the work. And so reviews are huge for a lot of companies too, like roofing companies. That's a really big thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. What else?
So what did you do to, like you talked about, the first industry of it, the second industry of it? Like what did you study?
I Googled like the industry. Let me think about I forget what my second industry event was, but I remember like I was going to a marijuana industry event, and that's the one that wasn't my first industry event, but it's one that I had sold a little bit of business gifts and I thought I could wing it. And I get there and I flopped, like completely flopped. And it's because I didn't know anything about the marijuana industry. But when I'm at the event, I'm learning that there's like every industry has the same type of setup. And so like in that industry, it would be who are the distributors. So if you're a grower, who are you going to give out gifts to? Your distributors, right? So it's a manufacturer and distributor. So think about Cutco. Cutco is the manufacturer. We're the distributors. The managers are the distributors, like they're the recruiters to ultimately create the distribution. So Cutco, what do they do for us? Well, for the reps and managers alike, they send us on trips, right? And there's a lot more they do for us than that. That's just one example. So like even using Cutco as an example, right? I'm sure Cutco, their employees, some gifts for like tenure and stuff like that. You know, they do a lot to show them appreciation. And so it's the same thing for any company. Think about the structure of the company, who they should give gifts to, who they should show appreciation to, maybe where does their business come from, different things like that.
Okay. Just spend time on the internet, just trying to find these types of things.
And if you know anybody that's in the industry, if you're talking to a client, ask them point blank, hey, by the way, like who do people in your industry typically give gifts to? Just ask them. Like that's the top way to learn, is just through asking questions. But obviously, that's not proactive. That's kind of a reactive thing. So you want to also just be researching, Googling. Maybe you go, hey, who do most builders give gifts to, or who do insurance agents give gifts to, or who do blank gives gifts to, and just kind of see where that lands. There's probably something on the internet about it. And then ask other CSPs, hey, who does who do people in this industry typically give gifts to? And then you can ask me as your mentor, who would this person give gifts to? And I could probably either tell you pretty quickly, or we can hop online and we can figure it out pretty quickly, so that you can pick a game plan of attack.
Cool. Then I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a freaking long list of a lot of people that are common to run into, and try to research each of those industries and businesses, and be prepared for what I'll see.
Yeah. Always be curious about how companies work and function. I think that's something that's a strength of mine, is I'm always curious and asking questions to figure out how companies work, not just for gifting, but just in general, just because I like business. Where you can understand it, the more you can talk it, and the more you can figure out where the gifts would go to and how you can serve it. So cool.